Hey, what's up everyone? My name is Ali. Welcome back to my world of stocks. We've got another big trades review video for you today. This time, we're taking a look at 5 giant purchases that Cathie Wood with ARK Invest made over the past month. And the great thing about Cathie, she sometimes gets a little bit of heat for investing in riskier, more speculative type of stocks, but I actually love looking at her trades for 2 specific reasons. Number one, I think it's really cool that she releases her trades every day, so we get to see what she's buying much sooner than all the other giant institutional investors who we typically have to wait months for. So I give her a huge amount of respect for that reason alone. But number two, it's also just kind of fun to look at some riskier stocks once in a while anyway. And by the way, she's not forcing anyone to buy those stocks too. So I don't personally have any problem with it. I'm glad that there is a big investor like her doing something a little different that is fun to look at. Anyway, these 5 giant purchases will be from the past month, so mostly June and a little bit of July. I'll give you, of course, my own opinion on each one of them, and I'll even rank them from best to worst too, based on my opinion. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let's go ahead and dive straight into it. All right, so these 5 purchases are across all of her different ETFs within ARK Invest, and I'll be counting up here from smallest to largest purchase. So coming in at stock number 1, the smallest of the bunch, that's actually not going to be a very speculative one at all. In fact, it's one of my absolute favorite stocks in the market, and that is Palantir Technologies, ticker symbol PLTR, which, by the way, Cathie was one of the first mainstream investors to really push Palantir, and she's mostly been a major bull ever since, with this past month adding another close to 200,000 shares worth over $5 million. Now, the thing I love most about Palantir, well, it's really 2 things in particular. It's their future potential and their already very strong performance as they continue to work their way towards that future potential. See, we all know that AI is very likely going to dominate the future in virtually everything we do, and it'll be worth trillions of dollars across all markets and sectors. But the most crucial aspect of that, I believe, is in its ability to take massive amounts of data and process it all to find solutions. That's pretty much at the core of what AI is and what it does. Well, Palantir, being an AI data management specialist, well, that's exactly what they offer, and it's why they get so heavily selected by both government and military entities, as well as also commercial businesses, all of which rely on Palantir to help them run better, faster, and more efficiently. Now, on the government side, for example, last quarter, the Army awarded them $179 million for their Titan platform to be used in the Army's first AI-defined vehicles for deep sensing, targeting, and mission command both on and off the battlefield. And with commercial, they've actually been holding these thousands of these really popular AI boot camps to show companies how they can use Palantir AI to run more efficiently, with Lowe's, for example, praising them for now running much faster and smarter. And General Mills also applied it to just a small piece of their network, and yet it's already saving them $14 million annually. And that's why you see so much demand for them, despite what has really been a horrible macro economy, where you would think that all of these entities would cut back on spending, but because Palantir actually improves their operations, well, they actually benefit from hiring them rather than cutting costs and avoiding them. And so because of that, you saw almost 70% growth in their US commercial customer count over the past year, which is why you also see their profits soaring now for what used to be a stock that was heavily criticized for their losses. But now you see revenue still climbing by over 20%, while their profit by EPS is surging by over 80% expected on average over the next 5 years, which is also why you see their valuation now drop to less than a 2 PEG ratio. That is also lower than the sector median, and that's despite the stock actually soaring by over 55% this year. Look, I'm not saying that it's a cheap stock to own by any means, but overall, I think it's a very strong play on AI data management for the long term. And because I also own it myself too, it's going to get a pretty high ranking here at number 2 for now, until we see what else is on this list. With that said, it's time now to move on to purchase number 2. But before we do that, I just want to quickly mention today's video sponsor, Mint Mobile. Guys, I would only ever recommend a service that I genuinely believe is worth using, and when it comes to Mint Mobile, this is such a no-brainer that I can't believe it's not used by literally everyone at this point, as they offer premium wireless for only $15 a month, including high-speed data and unlimited talk and text on the nation's largest 5G network. You can even bring your own phone and number, which if it uses eSIM, you can literally switch to Mint Mobile immediately right on your phone from the comfort of your own home. And even if you don't have that, well, Mint will ship you a new SIM card for free too. Guys, Big Wireless wants you to believe that it's hard to switch providers, and they do that in order to keep you locked in and paying for ridiculous overpriced plans, when the truth is that there's a much better option out there for a fraction of the cost. I've been using Mint Mobile myself, and it's literally the same speed, service, and quality, except that I now have more money in my pocket, which, I get to use for investing in stocks too. So what are you waiting for? It'd be insane not to switch and save all that money yourself too. Go to trymintmobile.com/allisworld to get a premium wireless plan for just $15 a month when you purchase a 3-month plan. The link is also down in the description, and thank you to Mint Mobile for sponsoring this video and for also providing truly affordable wireless plans at a time when, let's be honest, inflation and interest rates continue to weigh on consumers. So it's time to get smart, save money, and switch to Mint Mobile. All right, going back to the list here, coming in at stock purchase number 2, we have Intellia Therapeutics, ticker symbol NTLA, which Cathie purchased over $12 million of this past month. And yeah, if you know anything about Cathie, you know just how much she loves her biotechs, with Intellia being no exception, as this too has been one of her longest holdings that she's been building up for years, and is, in my opinion, actually a pretty good play on the future of gene editing with their development of CRISPR treatments. Because look, with most gene editing companies, you have to settle for programs that are still in very early stages of development, but rather Intellia is quite a bit ahead of the pack, as their NTLA 2001 program was actually the very first in vivo CRISPR therapy to receive FDA clearance for late-stage clinical trials. Now, it is still in phase 3 at the moment, but this and a few other therapies they have could be giant blockbuster treatments for the company, as they aim to fix several diseases that currently have no cure available. NTLA 2002, for example, just finished up a recent trial that showed extremely positive results. It was done on 10 patients who suffer from HAE, where the body randomly experiences uncontrollable swelling that not only causes severe pain, but can even lead to death. But the study showed that Intellia's treatment practically cured 8 out of the 10 patients, who've now experienced 0 new attacks more than 18 months after treatment. And of the 2 that still had swelling episodes, well, their number of attacks was still reduced by around 97%, with no severe attacks following the treatment either. And by the way, how many times do you see new drugs and treatments having horrible side effects? Well, this one had 0 severe side effects reported. That's pretty crazy. Definitely looks like a breakthrough here, and as such, Intellia is planning to commence phase 3 trials in the second half of this year. Now, look, it's impossible really to perfectly guess where all of this is going to lead from here, as the company will continue to bleed money on the bottom line until these products can be, commercialized. But once that happens, the future could be very bright, as most experts predict that the gene editing market will be worth tens of billions of dollars in the near future. So considering Intellia's stock price has now crashed by over 80% from their highs that they saw during the pandemic bubble of, biotechs really surging to new record highs at that time, well, now might be a time worth taking a closer look here at Intellia, as even analysts are giving it an average price target of more than 3 times the level it currently trades for today. It's obviously nowhere near as safe as Palantir, but for a very speculative play on the future of gene editing, I think Intellia is one of the best options out there, so I'm giving it the number 3 ranking for now. All right, moving on to purchase number 3, though, we have a bit more of a well-established company here in PagerDuty, ticker symbol PD, which Cathie purchased over $17 million more of. And if you've never heard of this one, they're basically a cloud-based AI software company that helps solve 2 important issues for other companies. One is in helping them consolidate software and automate their work using AI to achieve faster task completions, while also reducing costs, which they advertise can be as high as 99% and 50% respectively. And the other part of it is in their incident response platform that reduces website downtimes whenever a company runs into issues. For example, their apps and tools can help monitor online operations 24/7, making it easier for employees to report any issues they come across to the appropriate IT departments so that they can quickly be fixed and help reduce any downtime, sometimes by as much as 75%. Anyway, these services are in such high demand, especially as the world becomes more digital and technologically advanced, that PagerDuty is now being used by over 25,000 companies around the world. And financially, sales have risen consistently every year because of it. But like most Cathie Wood stocks, this is another one here that bleeds heavily on the bottom line, with even their revenue growth slowing down recently too, causing further concern, dropping from over 40% growth in 2019 to now only being in the low single teens going forward. As a result, the stock price has also lost more than half its value since IPOing in 2019. And because of it, PagerDuty has turned to large layoffs and cost-cutting initiatives to help them get closer to profitability as soon as possible before the damage gets worse, which, if it all goes well, it could get their valuation down to a 22 forward PE ratio based on 2026 adjusted earnings estimates from analysts, which I admit that would be attractive if it weren't for having to look out all the way to 2026. In the meantime, it therefore remains an interesting but still pretty high-risk speculative stock that, while I grant you is probably safer than Intelia, it also likely has a lower ceiling in terms of future potential. So I'm still giving Intelia the slight edge here. It just seems a little more exciting to me if I am going to have to invest in a spec one here. And because of that, I'll rank PD just right below them at number 4. All right, guys, that'll leave us now, though, with the final two stocks of the list. These are the two largest purchases, and coming in as the second largest of the bunch, well, we actually have a media and streaming services leader in Roku, ticker symbol ROKU, which Cathie picked up over $18 million of as well. Now, this one, surprisingly, I kind of get a lot of comments, or a surprising amount of comments on it once in a while. It seems like a bit of a popular stock out there, but I just don't really understand what people see in it. Now, granted, I will give you that the price has fallen by over 30% this year and a whopping 86% from their pandemic highs. So maybe seeing it as a turnaround play worth betting on, I can kind of understand that. But what I don't really get is if anyone is kind of looking at this as a reliable long-term investment for getting exposure to their specific business, which of course involves video streaming, an operating system for TV, smart TVs, and streaming hardware too. But the thing is, guys, I can get that type of exposure from a number of much larger, safer, more profitable, and way more diversified companies like Disney, Amazon, Apple, or even Google. So I don't really see what makes Roku so special other than the stock price having fallen by so much, which even there, you're still talking about a pretty rich valuation as the company continues to struggle with profitability. So based on sales, their PS ratio is still almost 100% higher than the sector even after the crash. Now, that revenue is at least growing by a double-digit rate, but at only around 12%, that's not nearly enough growth to warrant the 100% premium over the competition. And look, maybe the company will start generating huge profits soon that make all of this irrelevant, but number one, we haven't seen that yet. And number two, there's giant competition in the space from bigger players that can potentially do exactly what Roku does if they really wanted to. And some already do, like with Fire TV and so on. So while it may not be a horrible stock at these low levels, it's just not compelling enough of a stock for me to get very excited about. So I'm actually going to give it the last place ranking at number 5 because I just think that there's such obvious better choices within their same market. Okay, with that said though, the last stock of the list is actually one that I'm very interested in, and that is the biotech Recursion Pharmaceuticals, ticker symbol RXRX, which Cathie picked up another $23 million of this past month. Now, what I like about Recursion is that they use artificial intelligence to not only discover new drugs and treatments, but also to help lower costs and reduce the time it takes to research, identify, and develop them too, all of which could be huge in the future. And while their own in-house treatments are still working through trials and regulatory approval, the technology has been so impressive impressive that it's already landed them investment and partnership deals with pharmaceutical powerhouses like Roche and Bayer, as well as even the red-hot AI leader Nvidia. Unfortunately though, this is another Cathie Wood stock here that loses more money on the bottom line than they even generate in sales. But after striking a deal with Tempest, Recursion now has over 50 petabytes of health-related data fueling their AI platform, along with their new supercomputer built in partnership with Nvidia that is now considered the most powerful one to ever be owned by a biotech in the entire world. And so given that the stock has already lost close to 80% of its value since the 2021 IPO, I actually think that it's one worth considering if you're looking for a speculative stock with, a lot of long-term potential. Now, I don't own it myself yet, but I'm probably going to buy a very small amount of it soon, maybe even this week, just to kind of dip my toes in it, get a little bit of exposure for myself. And because of that, I'm going to give it the number 2 ranking on this list, which will bump Palantir up one spot to fit it in. But there you have it, guys. In conclusion, not the worst list of stocks here I've seen from Cathie Wood. In fact, stocks, I would say like number 1 to number 3 especially, I'm actually pretty interested in. And that's especially the case with like Palantir, which I already own, and Recursion, which I plan to buy a very small amount of as a spec play sometime soon. The rest are less interesting to me, but it was still fun running through them regardless. But what do you all think? I'd love to hear your opinions on this. Do you agree with my ranking? Do you own any of these stocks? Would you ever consider them? Or do you think they're all trash? Let me know down there in the comment section. But thanks again for stopping by, my friends. Thank you for all your support. It means so much to me. And I will catch you in the next video. All right, take care, everybody. Bye-bye.